We can pull this around, Andy says to Keir Starmer in the Sunday Times.
It's an astonishing thing for him to actually admit, isn't it?
Yeah, it's an incredible thing for a Prime Minister who came in with a huge majority barely a year ago to be saying, I can pull this around. It's like expecting to be 3-0 up and being 3-0 down. One of his promises now is he's going to build 300,000 homes in 12 different towns. Of course, anyone looking at the immigration figures are 700,000, 300,000 homes is not even going to touch the surface. Look, he says he's going to turn it around. He's got his Labour Party conference this week in Liverpool. Obviously, going to be huge speculation about his field and all sorts of other things. Look, in his manifesto, he talks about smash the gangs. That's not happened. He talks about growth. That's not happened. He talks about cutting the debt. That has absolutely not happened. He talks about building more homes. That hasn't happened. Obviously, he's also had this situation where Angela Rayner is Deputy Prime Minister. That's resigned. Tulip Siddiqui's Minister for anti-corruption. Anti-corruption has had to resign because of being implicated. She denies in a corruption scandal. Homelessness Minister has had to resign for profiteering from all this sort of stuff. Mandelson, etc., etc. And then questions about £750,000 donations to his party that should have been declared and wasn't declared. Yeah. The grown-ups are in the room. The grown-ups absolutely aren't in the room. He's talking about he can turn it around. We'll see what he has to say this week. But it's going to have to be something pretty spectacular for him to even get to part A of that.
And this nonsense about the new 12 new towns, which are going to attract younger voters, apparently. No younger voters I know are going to go, oh, great, 12 new towns, I'll get a house really soon. I mean, that's not going to happen. We've heard all this nonsense about they've built and they're going to build, and builders are saying, really, where, when is this all happening? And this constant empty rhetoric about... We've seen he's obsessively posting about reclaiming patriotic values and national renewal. Empty rhetoric, which actually means nothing. There are things that people do want.
Absolutely.
There are, immigration, borders, proper NHS, proper education, all the things that people want. Stop attacking us. Just stop attacking us on pensioners, winter fuel. Stop attacking us on farmers' inheritance. Stop attacking us. Just leave us alone. But this nonsense about patriotic values and reclaiming our national renewal, it's nothing. It doesn't mean anything.
Absolutely agree. I think this is part of the illness within Labour. They talk about working people, but they don't know any. They talk about helping working people, and all they do is snatch from them. You can't save, you can't earn, you can't buy a house, you can't hand it on to your kids. And then they come with this phrase, patriotic renewal. I mean, what sort of ChatGPT think tank said that? Can you imagine people in the pub or the working men's club or at the bus stop going, oh, what we really need is some patriotic renewal.
And Andy,
they don't even speak like normal people.
They don't speak like normal people, but it's even worse than that. When they do put up a British flag, a Union Jack or a Cross of St George to be patriotic and to show the love that everybody has for their country, it's torn down by their local council. And they're told that's not patriotic, it's far right.
They talk about working people. Working people aren't even allowed to say what they think. You get flags snatched off, you get sent to prison for a tweet. President Trump was talking about the lack of free speech in Britain. He was absolutely correct. You listen to some American podcasts and they're talking about people going to prison for saying they don't like migrants here. I mean, we are fundamentally changing so much about Britain, and it's absolutely for the worse.
As a journalist, I always need to remember more in less time. And you know what I really hate? Taking notes. It wastes loads of time and you forget stuff. And that's where Plord comes in. This is the Plord Note, a sleek, pro-level AI note-taker that records and creates notes for you. Whether you're listening to a long podcast, stuck in a meeting, or on an important call, Plord captures everything at the tap of a button. Then it gives you a smart, structured summary with all of the key takeaways. It even recognises different speakers by their voice, and you can choose from bullet points, to-do lists, or even mind maps. Your data's safe too, with end-to-end encryption and global privacy compliance. And with Plord's built-in AI, you can search everything you've ever recorded just by asking a question. It's slim, magnetic, under 30 grams, lasts up to 60 days on standby, and over 1 million people are already using it. Hit the link in the description and use code GB10 for £10 off your Plord order. Save hours of time and never miss a detail again. Link in the description below.
Talking of being cynical. So Keir Starmer faces a challenge, that's the understatement, to unite the Labour Party as conference gets underway today.
Yes, the Prime Minister is going to, of course, hope to draw a line under all the chaos that's been going on following his government over the last few weeks and months, and actually well over a year now.
Yes, we've had Angela Rayner's resignation, Lord Mandelson's sacking.
And that's not meant to mention...
Tulip Sadiq.
Oh, that's right. Well, there have been others. People in charge of certain departments have actually been found wrong to actually been doing something wrong that they should have been in charge of, if you see what I mean. Yeah. Then there was the split within his party over big issues that we're still talking about now, like Palestine and digital ID cards and the winter fuel payments, of course. Winter's still not completely upon us. People are going to start moaning about that again very, very soon.
Yes, they will. Plus, the farmers thing hasn't been sorted out, has it? So can the Prime Minister reignite the fire within his party and fend off reform?
Yeah, or he mentioned reform in every other sentence.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah. GB News' political correspondent, Catherine Forster, joins us now from Liverpool. I think that's what we're all wondering, whether or not Keir Starmer is going to betray the fact that Nigel Farage is still living rent-free in his head.
Oh, yes, I think we're going to be hearing a lot about Nigel Farage at Labour conference, just as we heard so much about Nigel Farage at the Liberal Democrat conference that I was at in Bournemouth just last week. And the reason for that, of course, is there was an MRP poll on Friday that put reform just shy of a majority. But there's another big poll out this morning that would give reform if there was a general election tomorrow. And of course, it's nearly 4 years till we expect one, maybe. But would give Nigel Farage a majority just slightly bigger than Boris Johnson won in 2019. So the Prime Minister will talk about a fight for the soul of the nation. He will say there is a choice. He will label Nigel Farage and Reform as being the party of toxic division. He's given an interview today where he says that he believes that Labour can pull things around, describes Nigel Farage as grubby, going off to the States, making money, bad-mouthing our country. A lot of stuff that we heard from Ed Davey. But look, the Labour Party itself is divided. I remember being here 2 years ago, the year before Labour swept to that huge victory. There was a massive energy. I remember the Prime Minister's, sorry, wasn't Prime Minister then, but I remember Sir Keir Starmer's speech. He was treated like a rock star. Fast forward to last autumn, and the mood was pretty gloomy. Even though they hadn't been in power long, already things had started to go wrong. We'd had the freebie gate, the rows over glasses, over dresses, over free tickets. And basically, it's just got worse. Since then, we've had poll ratings that say that the Prime Minister is the most unpopular ever. We've got Andy Burnham, the Manchester Mayor, King of the North, some would say, giving big interviews, talking about his alternative vision. We've got many in the Labour Party wanting Rachel Reeves to turn on the spending taps. We've got a budget looming in which it's likely she's going to have to find 30 to 40 billion from somewhere. Chances are that's going to be coming from tax rises, something that she said when she did that last year was a one-off event.
What seems extraordinary with this, and I don't know how they get away from it, is that the government does seem to be out of tune with the country in this, in everything.
Yes, and the fundamental problem is, though, that really we haven't seen much growth since the financial crisis. We've had a pretty much flatlining economy. We've got an ageing population, a growing population. There isn't much money around. That's one of the reasons that the Tories were booted out. Labour promised change, and people want to see it. Now, in fairness to the government, they are trying to get the growth there. Major infrastructure investments. They're doing a lot of things, but lots of things that are not going to bear fruit for years and years and years. They used to talk about a decade of national renewal, but look, unless they make people feel better off by the next election, they've got no hope. And all the while, Nigel Farage is saying, well, we will just do this, we will just do that, we will fund this, we will fund that. It's easy to say those things, that will be very appealing. But of course, Labour will be trying to convince people that that is all just pie in the sky. But look, I think it's going to be incredibly difficult for the Prime Minister at this conference and indeed the next few months coming.
Yeah, you do wonder how he's going to spin it. And I mean, I'm just wondering how many people will applaud him and how many might even boo their own leader as he comes on stage, because a lot of them don't like, a lot of his own faithful don't like what he's doing.
Well, yes, there's plenty of them thinking that he is not left-wing enough, that he and the Chancellor are much too like the Tories that they replaced. Of course, the Prime Minister and Rachel Reeves would say, look, we've got no choice. We've got a terrible inheritance. There is no money. We've got to be careful. But we are expecting perhaps that they will drop the two-child benefit cap. That would cost them about $3 billion. That, make no mistake, yes, it will help to tackle child poverty, something the government is passionate about. But that is to no small part because many Labour MPs are furious about the fact that they have kept it. And actually the polling amongst the public, the majority of people think that it's fair enough. So if that is a choice that they make, and it sounds like it will be, that might be more about party management than improving their lot in the polls, though, of course, it could have an impact on reducing child poverty.
Just a quick final thought, Catherine, because Rob's just sent us a message. And he says, Keir Starmer says I am grubby, the enemy, far right, etc., just because I support reform. It's really chasing my vote, isn't he? I mean, he does have this, he is going on this very much an attack vector with reform and therefore people who support reform. But that isn't a very good way to win them over.
Yeah, I think it's difficult because if they're attacking Nigel Farage and reform, people might feel that they are by implication also being attacked, and we saw that Unite the Colours march a couple of weeks ago, over 100,000 people. People do not like to be branded far right or whatever, so I think Labour do need to be very careful how they frame the language around that, otherwise I think it could make things even worse for them.